Now let's get some political reaction to all of this that's unfolding inside the Trump administration. So let's bring in Tara Palmeri. She's a White House correspondent for Politico, and she joins us now from the White House. Tara, good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
So I want to begin by asking you about a tweet you sent out yesterday after the bombing in Afghanistan, which you said, quote, "I think this bomb means we're officially involved in the Middle East, despite Trump campaign pledges to stop meddling in foreign wars." So talk about the long-term implications of this attack when it comes to the president's foreign policy and how this is being seen by his supporters and perhaps some of his opponents.
Well, on the campaign trail, Trump really promised not to be the policeman of the world. He said that he even said in 2013, after the first gas attack in Syria, that Obama should not get involved in any sort of way. So this is seen as sort of a lurch towards a more interventionist path for Trump in terms of foreign policy. While he seems strong and he's showing that he's actually willing to get involved in humanitarian issues. He said that his heart was moved by the pictures of these Syrian children. And then yesterday you saw him drop the mother of all bombs in East Asia, greater Middle East region. Although we've always had troops there, I mean, this is a real action that they're highlighting in the press. They want to show that they're willing to get involved in foreign wars. The thing that he risks is the wrath of his America First base, the base that said, we don't need to be spending money on costly wars. We need to be focused on America. And, you know, Laura Ingraham tweeted criticism at him for this. InfoWars, all of his base, the right wing, they say, why are you doing this? Why are you getting involved? We'll see. It may affect him in the polls, or it may, in terms of his base, but it may bring over some more moderates. It's too soon to tell.
Something else that has been picking up steam lately, Tara, the president yesterday said that he's given the military, quote, total authorization on missions like this one. What are you hearing from people as to what they think that means?
I think that's from the way that I interpreted it and from others that I've spoken to who are close to the president, they interpreted that as him pinning the responsibility for the attack on the military establishment that he put into office. It's almost a way of him distancing himself. Maybe he thinks that he's being shrewd and the American people don't see the connection between him and the people that he puts in power, and the fact that he says, I let them do what they want to do. But at the end of the day, he appointed them. He's the final decision maker. As they've always said, the buck stops here. So Trump can say it was their decision, but at the end of the day, it was his decision to appoint them there. And, you know, he has this infatuation with generals. It shows that he really trusts the military community right now to make those big decisions. And maybe it's an acknowledgement that he doesn't know everything on foreign policy.
That famous quote, "The buck stopped here," by President Harry Truman. And with regards to that, we've seen the president make U-turns on a number of other issues this week, from Russia to NATO to China's currency manipulation. Right. Is there an overarching theme behind these reversals, or is perhaps the president operating on an issue-by-issue basis? He said that he's flexible.
I think what you're seeing is that the president is really learning about the current state of things, and maybe he has more intel than he'd had when he was during the campaign, when he was able to make these really strong assertions about the way that government works without having actually ever worked in government. You're also seeing the influence of more moderate forces within the White House, like Gary Cohn, who is the national economic advisor, his son-in-law, Jared Kushner. These people tend to be more moderates, centrist, more globalist focused, and it's also maybe in relation to the isolation of chief strategist Stephen Bannon, who is the one who's really been reminding him to stick with the base and give them and return the promises that he made during the campaign. So Trump is really sort of playing a dance in between these two factions in his White House. And the truth is that, you know, policy is really reflected by personnel. These are the people who are helping make the decisions. Also, Trump seems to be a president who can be really easily influenced in a way because he had such little knowledge coming into this job, never having worked in government, never, you know, worked in military as well. So I think you're seeing the influence of his staff and the people around him who are educating him on what's actually happening and the intelligence that they're receiving. And maybe their own opinions on how it should work.
Right. And that includes, apparently, according to the president, Chinese President Xi Jinping, who, after President Trump met with him, said that the president of China gave him some history lessons on Chinese history and Korean history, and then you saw the president sort of reversing course on calling China a currency manipulator and other things. So I wonder if you're hearing from your sources that there is some worry out there from perhaps Trump supporters, many of them who believed some of the messages that he delivered on the campaign trail. And let's face it, everybody knows that once a president actually gets into the Oval Office, what you said on the campaign trail doesn't always mean that you're going to do exactly that. But I wonder if there's a sense that he may not deliver some of the things that he promised his supporters.
There's definitely fear within the right-wing base of the party. You're hearing lots of grumblings that they're not getting what they promised, and it's really early. It hasn't even been 100 days. But to add on to what you mentioned earlier about how he's learning from the Chinese president, he's also opening his doors to a lot of CEOs who have business interests. You know, he decided to stick with the Export-Import Bank after speaking with some of them. He decided to change his tune on currency manipulations in China. He's really listening to so many different voices, and it's shaping his opinions in ways that you just keep seeing him flip-flopping. And it makes you wonder that if maybe he was educated by these people a little bit sooner in the campaign, he may have maybe put out less promises that he eventually realized he couldn't keep because he would have had more details. There's something to be said about experts. This entire campaign trashed experts. They trash convention. They trash the bureaucrats. And, you know, there is some truth to that. There is a slowness about bureaucracy. But I think once you actually get there and realize how Washington works, you need to deal with them. That's not going to make the base happy, because the truth is that the people who know how Washington works, they're swamp creatures.
And he promised to drain the swamp.
Exactly.
Politico's Tara Palmeri. As always, we appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you.